Hello everybody. So in this video I wanted to show an example of using EventStore using C# and Visual Studio. So to just get started real quick, let's go ahead and go to the EventStore website here. And what we're going to do real quick is go to the downloads page and let's download the version for Windows. And this will download the latest version for us. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to extract. Let's go ahead and extract this to the C drive. Okay, and that's done. So all we're going to do to get started is we're going to do a right mouse click here on the EventStore.cluster node. And let's go ahead and run this. And there you go. The cluster's up. Let's minimize it. Let's close that. And if we go back here to this address of 127.0.0.1, if we do this, you'll see that it actually auto-logged me in because I've already logged into this one before. But if you see here, the username for this will be admin, and I believe the password will be here. All right here. It should be change it. Okay, so you'll put that for the password. And if you log in here, you'll see you have your little, your UI for your adminning of EventStore up and running. So as we come here, we'll see that we have no real streams created yet. So we're going to go ahead and through the code, we're going to go ahead and create our stream. So let's minimize this and let's go to Visual Studio. So you'll see what I've created here is this is just a simple console application. A couple things that I've brought in, and I will put this on GitHub, on my GitHub, and you can go ahead and pull down these files if you want to follow along, or if you just want a sample of the source code. But the first thing I'm going to go to here is the events file here. So all I have here is an interface which requires a GUID ID, and I have 3 events right now. So I have an event that's going to allow us to create an account. We're going to have an event to add funds to an account, and then an event to add or to withdraw funds from an account. So as you can see, our demo we're going to be working on here is creating of a bank account and able to try and figure out how through replaying these events what the current balance is of the bank account, and also keep a transactional history of each deposit or withdrawal. So these are really simple. This is just for a demonstration. So if we go here to our domain model, our domain model will have a aggregate ID here. This will have a name of the person who owns a bank account or who has the bank account. We'll have the current balance. Then we're going to have a list of transactions we're going to keep. And then of course we have a way to apply each one of these events to build up our state. So as we see here, when you create a new account, you're automatically defaulted to 0. And then the deposit and withdrawal do the same thing, just obviously in withdrawal reverse. Okay, so this is just here for an example, but everyone who's going to be doing some sort of event sourcing or CQRS application will have their own domain. You'll have your own domain model, obviously, with aggregate roots. And this is just a transaction I'm going to log. Okay, so let's go ahead and close this. We've seen the events. So the first thing you need to do here, and I've already done it, but the first thing you're going to want to do is go to NuGet, and you're going to want to install 2 packages. You're going to want to install JSON.NET. So let's go to installed here. So I just installed JSON.NET, the newest version, and I've also installed the EventStore.client. Okay. So just go ahead and run those. Make sure they're installed here on your references. And what I have here in the program file here is I just have a little helper. It's going to help me kind of build a string ID based off of a GUID. And this ultimately is what we're going to see on our EventStore for a stream. Okay, so let's go ahead and I've already written this code. I'm just going to paste it in slowly so I don't spend a lot of time typing. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to want to create a connection here, and we're just going to be connecting to our local EventStore. So this gives us a connection, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually want to connect to that connection. And then, so that's good. Next thing we want to do is we want to build a list so we can have a couple events and log them and just kind of run them all at once. So we're going to create a couple events right now. And even before that, what we should probably do is create an aggregate ID. So this will be the aggregate for this. This will be the ID for this aggregate, and it will be used to mark all the events for the single stream. So then, obviously, of course, if you're building a CQRS system, you're not just going to create events. You're going to have some commands that come in. Those commands get run through your domain logic and your domain model to validate them. And then after that, after it's been tested that they pass, then you create events. And we're just kind of doing the events for the sake of demonstration of EventStore. But obviously, this is not how you would build something without some of these other important concepts. And what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to paste in a couple of events here. So what I have here is the first thing you'll see here is I'm creating an account with that aggregate ID up above, and it's got my name on there. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a couple deposits, then we're going to do a couple withdrawals, and then finally one more deposit. So at the end of this all being done, we should have $100 left in this account after everything's said and done. So next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to do all these for each. And then let's go ahead and I'm going to cycle through the events to run. And the first thing we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to take each of these items that come in here, and we're going to want to serialize the event itself to JSON. So we're going to use JSON.NET for this. So we're going to get this to a string. And the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take this JSON string, and we're going to want to encode it, and we're going to want to get it into byte arrays, in the byte array. So we get that next, because when we store in EventStore, it needs it as a byte array. So next thing we're going to do here is we are going to actually get it ready for the type. See, when you're logging in EventStore, it actually wants your data to come in as this event data here. This is what actually gets sent in. It's like the schema for EventStore. So what we do here is each event gets its own new GUID. We're going to go ahead and give it the type of event it is. So it should be either account created event or funds deposited event. Should be any of those. Then the next parameter here is it JSON? And it is true, it is JSON. Then we give it the payload, the byte array. And then there's a column there for metadata. So you would do that the same way you do your JSON, your payload. I was doing above of the actual data. But we're not going to do any metadata right now. But it's really useful if you need it. So lastly, all we need to do now is append this to a stream in EventStore. So if you see this next line of code, we're going to go ahead and append this. We're going to use our helper up above to build us our stream name, which will just take the GUID, and then take up above here, I'll just take the bank account / and add that to the end. And we're just going to say any version is fine, and then the actual type that we've constructed to go into EventStore of this event data. So this should work right here. If I were to run this right now, we can go ahead and do that. Let's just go ahead and put a reline here. And let's go ahead and run this. Okay. And let's go ahead and go back to our UI and let's do a refresh. And there you go. If we look here on the top right of this list, we can click it and we can see it has logged all the events here and in order. So we'll see here that the first event it logged with an account created. You can see here we see the data, and we see here we get the type we had sent in. And you can look at these and they're all pretty much the same way we did them. Sent them in. So those look good. This last one should be okay. So now we've done that. Let's go ahead and let's minimize that again. So that's putting things into EventStore. It's pretty simple, and it's really just as easy getting them out. So let's do that next. I'm going to paste in a line here that's going to allow us to read the results from EventStore. Okay, I'm going to do this asynchronously. So all we're doing here is we're going to send in that same stream ID with the aggregate ID. So we're going to read the same stream that we appended to, And then we're going to start from the beginning because we want to read them in the order that they happened. We're going to put a max number here at 99, at 999. Okay, well that should be good. So let's go ahead and wait for this to finish. And let's take that data from the results here. Let's just put it in a variable called results data. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to build our initial state for our aggregate root here, which was, in this case, it is a bank account. Okay. Then all we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to loop through the data that we've gotten back from EventStore. So let's put a for each. Okay. And let's just call this event, and we will get it from our event, the results.data.events. So now inside here, we can put this data back to string, because it'll be coming out here through as a byte array. So now we want to put it back to a stream. So, or back to a string. So now that it's in a string, we need to know how to serialize it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to paste in something I already wrote. And in my experience using EventStore, this is not how I would do it. Like in a production environment, I would probably use some sort of reflection or some helpers to do this a little easier. But as you can see here, as long as this event type is of type account created event, then we're going to go ahead and serialize it as a type of account created event here. And then we're going to hit the apply, which will then go into the domain model and apply that. Okay, the same thing we see here for funds deposited event. And you see here if it's not deposited, then it's withdrawn. So once again, this is not how I would build something. There's a lot of, this is not very dry. It's repeating a lot of the same code. There's a lot of examples that write this a lot better, but I just wanted to do it for the sake of a quick demonstration. Okay, so what we should be able to do here is run this, and we're going to create a new stream. You know, it's not going to be the same one we just created because we're going to get a new GUID ID here. And we should be able to stop it. Let's change this name here to just Greg. And let's make sure that we are able to get our state back. We'll check a few things as we run this. So let's go ahead and save this and run it. Okay, great. So let's scroll up here first and let's see what our GUID here. So it's 099, starts with the 099. So let's go back here to our stream. There's our 099. Good. Looks like all the events went in. That looks great. Okay. So let's go down here. And in here, let's go ahead and let's see where else we can look at here. Let's look to see here how many events we got back out. Okay, so if I click here on the results data, you'll see that when it went in and pulled these from the stream, it actually pulled them out right here. Okay, so we get our date. And then it ran through all this, transformed all this, and then converted all this and applied all these events. So now let's look at our bank state. So let's actually go right here. You'll see here that our current balance is exactly $100. You'll see here that's for Greg Chavez. So there's our GUID, and we've also had the transactions here. So, and it's just that simple. So this is EventStore is a really good product, good solution for doing event-based systems. I think it's pretty easy to use, and maybe in future videos I will do a little bit more with EventStore, maybe more on the read side as well. But I hope this was helpful. I know, like, for myself, getting started with EventStore took a little bit of time, and I just hope that anybody watching this, that it can really help you in what it is you're doing. So thanks for watching.